So that is Excel. I mean, those are some of the key aspects that you need to know. Definitely, there are several other that we are going to discuss as we proceed. Now I was also saying that Excel has many functions, more than 40,000. But there are those that we are using them in our daily analytics and such. So we'll be talking about this function by doing, so like I'll be introducing them, tell you how we are using them, and tell you how you can use them. So in this first 1 week, we'll be focusing on some functions, and we'll be doing some things that are very basic, to which some of them you know them, and you'll be assisting me to do them, and such. So with that said, I want to take you back to that time you had finished Form 4. You have enrolled for that computer classes in that local cyber, and you are learning some Excel. I'm sure most of us were doing this. Now, I want us to imagine we are, and this is now where we are starting. I'm trying to introduce some formulas in Excel and see how we can use them. So imagine we are high school teachers, okay, even primary school teachers. These guys mostly use Excel. So students have done their exams, and we are recording their marks so that we can prepare their worksheets, their scores and their report cards. So we need to record the marks of the students and then get the total, get the average to know the performance of the class and such stuff. So that is what we are going to do here today. Now the essence of us doing that is to see how we can use Excel to manipulate some functions. So we are going to create some columns, what we call variables. So in the world of analytics, and in the layman's term, I normally say a variable. A variable is like a question. So when someone asks you, what is your age? You see, there is a question. You'll be answering, I'm 20 years old. So there is a question and an answer. So the question is the variable, and the answer is the observation that will be recorded. So the names in the column names, I'll be having the variable names, and in the rows I'll be having the observation. So let's say we are in class 8. So these guys are being recorded because we're not using numbers. We are saying these guys have an index number. That is my first column. Then what else can we have for our students? Maybe we have the gender. So I'm creating some variables, and I hope you're doing the same. Then after we have the gender, then we have the marks. Now we have maths, we have English, if I can still remember the subjects that were there. We have Kiswahili. We have science, which was the favorite subject to most of you. Karim is saying Kiswahili was favorite. Okay. And then we have social studies. We can just write SST, or SST is a course though. Social studies. Then after we have those 5 subjects, we want to have a total marks for each student. Then we might need to have the average of each student, or even the entire class, but we'll do some average. Then we might have some comment. You see, this is what we are doing in our computer classes in that local cyber. And then we might be interested to have grade. Because we have 2 genders, don't be cheated, there are only 2 genders. So we can have the average for males we see if males are performing better than females, and we can have the average for the females. We can have the average of females. We can also get the number of males, so number of males that are there, and we can also get the number of females that are there. That is what we are going to do today. I mean, baby stuff, you know. So I hope you can see my screen and I'm audible enough. Someone to signal that, and yeah. So I hope you can see my screen and you can hear me. Okay, Karim, thank you. So yeah, so those are the columns that we have. We have gender and such and such. So make sure you have these columns. So now let's start with the index number. Now you find that the index number is having some pattern and such. So because we're not bothered that much, we'll have the index number as 1, 2, you know, for the second 2, and for the third 3. So we want to do that 1, 2, 3, 4 and such. But the question is, are we going to do, like, suppose we have 100 students, are we going to write 1, 2, 3 manual like that? So I know there are several ways that we can automate that and have it autofill. Maybe we want to have 15 students. So who can tell us how we can do that? I mean, instead of writing 1, 2, 3, we just do it once for the first 15 students. Yes, please. Yes, Karim.
Your box hapo kwa 3.
Aha.
Kama kwa 1, hapo na dragaji ila hii hapo na box itatoka. Na hii itakwambia full series, full seller na full series.
I didn't get that, Karim. Ni kama uko mbali.
I was saying,
yes.
Wanisikia sasa?
Yeah, nakupata vizuri sana.
Unapata una highlight cell 1, una highlight cell yenye umeandika number 1. Alafu una drag chini mpaka kwa namba total na students yenye unataka.
Hivi.
Hapo chini utatokea small box.
No, I want us to do it together like this, eh?
Hiyo yako mbona? Yeah, but yako mbona haikuwa highlighted?
Sime highlight.
Kiasi.
Is this the box you are saying?
Eka kwa 3, no. Eka kwa 3.
Uh-huh.
Eka kwa hiyo box, kwa hiyo dot, hapo kwa dot eka kasa yako hapo.
Hapo hivyo.
Alafu drag chini.
Like that.
Yeah.
Then niachilie.
Wachilie.
Then try to
hiyo box hiyo kametokea hapo kafinye. Hiyo finye. Kwa fill series.
Fill series. Awesome. Yeah. That is one way. Thank you, Karim. So I guess you have seen one way of doing it. You fill series like Karim was saying. You select one of them, the last one, then you autofill for the rest, and then you come and select fill series. That is Karim's way. We will call it Karim's way. So Karim came to this. This is the cell. And then I said when you move the cursor and you have the thin addition sign, that is to autofill. So you are autofilling for the first 16 students. But because it is autofilling 3-3, there's this drop down option, what we call the autofill options, and you say fill series. Fill series. And it will continue. You see it's a series 1, 2, 3 like that. That is one way. Another way, so that you suppose you forget about, you don't want to use the option, you select all of them. Once you select all of them, Excel knows that this is already a series because it has started 1, 2, 3. So that now when you autofill, it will continue with the same series automatically. So you don't have to come to select the options and say fill series. It will automatically do that. Why? Because you have selected all of them. So it has a sense of what is happening. So it knows from 1 to 3, this is a series. So the option that it is selecting right now is to fill series. So it will select that and fill that for the first students, for the first 15 students that I would have selected. I hope that is clear. Now, of course, as you are, recording those marks of students, you will know that this is a male, this is a female. You know, as the class teacher, you know. So you'll be just writing here male, female as you insert the marks. But we are not going to do that here because we don't have the sheets. So rather, I will use this gender to teach you some basic function with it. But let's leave that first. Let's come to marks. So as the class teacher again, you see you'll have the worksheets. So you know the marks. You know Karim has scored 80 and he'll be writing 80. You know Emma has scored 70. So he'll be writing 70. You know Ali has scored 28. So he'll be writing 28. You know. So now here, we are not going to do that. But rather, I want to introduce a function called, you see, okay, let me come back and confirm my audience. Oh yeah, my audience looks a class of statisticians. So you see, in statistics, we said we have something called random number generation. You are generating numbers randomly. So now here we want to generate marks for math student. We are going to use a function called random between. So this one will generate random numbers between given intervals. Like between, let's say, 10 and 15. So it will generate numbers that are not less than 10, but they are also not greater than 15, randomly between that gap. So one thing that you need to take note is that every time you write a function, every time you write a formula in Excel, you need to start with what we call an equal sign. So you will select that cell, you write equal sign. Now once you write equal sign, you write the name of the function. You need to know it. So like right now, I'm going to use the random between. We call it rand between. It returns the random number between the numbers you specify. Now that is the beauty about Excel. It will give you a hint of the function that you are using or the formula that you are using. So it's telling me this function will return random numbers between numbers that you would have specified, between numbers you would have specified. So I select that. So suppose it pops up like that, you can click the tab key, not enter. Enter will run the function, but tab key, so that you have the function ready to write the whatever you're supposed to write inside the function. Now, one thing that you need to take note is that Excel has what we call a hint of the function. So this one is like the function intelligence is telling us what we are supposed to have at that point. You can see right now it is highlighting bottom. So what is that minimum number that you want to be considered in generating those numbers? Now, because I'm a good math teacher, the minimum a student can score is 58, and I put a comma because the next after the bottom is a comma and then the top number. Now, still because I'm a good teacher, the top mark is 100. Now you see the next that follows is to close the function. Now you don't have to necessarily close when it comes to Excel. Excel will do it for you, suppose you forget, but opening is a must. So just click enter and you see it has generated 82 for the first student. So as 82 is between the range of 58 and 100, but it's generated randomly. Are you getting that? Now, because I'm going to use similar function for Kiswahili, the rest social studies, I will autofill going row-wise, like that. So I have the first observation. Now, because I will use the same function to the rest of the students, I will now autofill and I have my marks for the students, like that. And I have my marks for the students, like that. Now you can see the formula that I have written is at the top here on the formula bar. That is the function. So you want to make an adjustment, you can just change it here and you click enter. Now before I proceed any further, do you guys have the marks? So if you have the marks, like what I do here. Now because before I say that, you will note one thing, that your marks will be different from mine and they'll be different from another person and such. Why so is because it is being generated randomly. So it can pick 98, it can pick 90, it can pick 59, it's random. So for my first student will be different from yours. It will not be always necessarily the same. So if you have the marks, if you have seen that and you have the marks, you are able to do it from your end. Kindly type 1 on the chat. If not, kindly type a 0. If you have any challenge, you can still also say. If you have a challenge, you can type a 2. So I see Emma, Karim, Justus, Swale. So I'm still waiting for Suleha and Millicent. You type 1 or 0. 1 you have it, 0 you don't. So Swaleh, what's the challenge?
Like pardon kwa hiyo concept kidogo sikuipata vizuri.
So I said, because here we don't have the math score, we are going to use a function called random between. Random between is generating marks, is generating values between specified range. So we are saying we have the minimum value and the maximum value where we can generate the numbers. So you're going to say equal to, and then you say random between. So the function is rand between, like an abbreviation of random between. So we are saying it returns a random number between numbers you specify. So I will select that. So then you need to, I'm selecting by typing tab. So then you need to specify the minimum number that can be considered when generating. and I said 58, and then you put a comma. Now what follows is the maximum number, the top number, and I was saying 100. So that is my function, run between 58 and 100. And then I click enter, and it generates a number, 68. Now because I said I want to use the same for English, Swahili and the rest, we said that when we move the cursor to that highlighted part of the cell, and we have this thin addition sign, the black one, it means we can autofill this number, and not just the number but the formula as well, to the other columns. So I was autofilling that for the other subject, and now I was moving the cursor still to autofill on the row wise, that is downwards, and I was double tapping and it is autofilling that. So I don't know if Swaleh now you have it. This is the function here at the top. This is the function here at the top. Let me also share the same on the chat. Suleha, I'm still waiting to hear from you. I'm not seeing a 1 or a 0. Or maybe she has not been hearing us. Oh yeah, I can see that. Okay. Now, funny thing here. So Swaleh, are we good to go?
Yes.
Perfect. So here is something interesting. What is interesting is what's interesting is you find that suppose you what do you notice when you try to do something? Suppose I write something. Suppose I say gender male. Just to make an observation. Suppose I write male here and I click enter. What is happening? Or suppose I even delete it and I click enter. What is happening? Is there something that you can observe? An observation? Just try to do something. Like write something, click enter. Just try to do something and not the observation. Anything that you can observe? I'm writing something here. I can say 60 and I click enter. What is happening? I can write anything and I click enter. What do you notice? Anybody making any observation? Yeah, I can see Justice is saying, oh yeah, also Milstead said this, the data is changing and the values are changing. That is very true. Now you see the problem is when I focus with Excel, I don't check on the meeting. So you need to normalize speaking. So the values are actually changing. You see, when I type K and I click enter, the first one was 80, now the value here is 81. If I try to do anything else, the value has changed to 98. So by the time we finish getting the totals here, you find that the student index 1, who was maybe the number 1, having the highest total, has actually now changed to be the lowest in terms of marks. So we need to make it stop. we need to make it stop changing. Now the reason as to why the values keep on changing is because of the fact that the random function is continuing to execute irregardless of what it will just continue generating random numbers. So we need to remove the function, or rather we need to stop the function from doing that. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Anybody who is having an idea? Maybe? Anybody? These are the basics. You guys should be shining here. Now because of time, so we need to stop these values from changing. Now there are several ways of doing it. You see there are several ways of killing a rat, even if you burn the house, we say. So one of the ways that we can do it is to eliminate this function and to only have the values. But how are we going to do that? One of the best possible ways is to copy this data and transfer it to a new sheet without the function. Because for as long as the data is in this sheet, the random function will continue to generate and the values will keep on changing. So what we are going to do is we are going to select the first cell and then we highlight everything, the entire data set. And we can do that by clicking the keyboard shortcut, that is the Control A, and it will highlight everything, and then Control C to copy everything. Now once you have copied that, open a new sheet. So if you have not added a new sheet, you can use this addition set to add a new sheet. So you have a new sheet, like let's say sheet 2, like that, and then you want to paste your values here. Hey, I hope you are listening. You are copying your values, not the formula. So you only want the values. So there are several options that you can do that. One, you can come to the home. There is a paste option here. Now, when you select the drop down for the paste option, you can see here these are formulas. So this one will paste with the formulas the same as they were, you know. But when you come to paste values, this one will paste values only, you know. But for me, I normally prefer coming to what we say paste special. Now the keyboard shortcut for this is Control plus Alt plus V. You are pasting special. So when you select paste special, you will have all the Excel pasting options in a panel, in a paste special panel. So you select what you want. So I would say I want to paste the values only. I just want to paste the values only. If you want the formulas, now by default it is all. So all is for formulas and values. So that one will copy the values only. So when I take the cursor to some cell here, you find that it is only showing a value at the top on the formula. Like there is no formula. There is no formula. It's just the value. So if you try to do anything, it will not change no matter what. It is not changing. So every time you need to, you use the random between function, you need to be aware about that the values will keep on changing regardless. So now we have our values. Now we have our values. So forget about the first sheet. Forget about the first sheet. So far we have done the random between function. Now let's come to gender now. Sorry, at this point I'll be biased. So we want to use some function to specify the gender. I mean, we are not supposed to be doing that though, but yes, we're going to do that because I want you to understand a basic function. Now we have what we call a condition function. like it is doing something based on some condition. Those who are coming from programming, the likes of Karim from my R class, you understand that. So we have, in Excel, we call them logic functions, from the word logic. So they are doing some task based on assessing a certain logic. So we want to use a logic here. We want to use a condition here to specify gender. So assuming, sorry? Yes, Karim. Karim, you seem to be far. Kindly.
Yes, I was asking if you can repeat about how to remove the random between so that the data cannot change.
You paste special. You paste special. To paste special, I was saying on that new sheet, you go to home. Now there's paste. On paste, there's a drop down. You select paste special, and then you say paste values. So this one will paste only the values. Are you getting that? After you have copied, that is.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. Hope we are all good. You see, even when I'm on Excel and Karim says something in the meeting,
Yeah.
I will know that is Karim, because I've been hearing that voice for the last 3 months in R. Right, Karim?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. So yes, that is the best special option. But we have a keyboard shortcut for that. I was saying the keyboard shortcut, is Control Alter V, and then it will bring the panel. You don't have to go all the way. Just press Control Alter V. Control then Alter then V, and we say values, and we say OK. It will give us the values. So that's it. That's it. Now I was coming to gender, and I was saying, oh, time is moving really fast. Guess the rest will be assignment. I mean, you guys know this thing. They are basics. So we have about 29 minutes. So I was saying that I want to introduce some function. Now that I'm hoping you all have this data and it is not changing. If you have any question, kindly don't hesitate. Kindly ask, so that you are not left behind. Now, I was saying I want to be biased here. I want to assign gender based on some logic. So maybe I will use English. Boys are not good in English than girls. Girls are doing better. So let's look at these values. We will say we can see in English the values are ranging between 92 all the way to, or there's a function that we can use actually. So now you see, and this is actually happening in real world analysis. You know, at times you are given data and you want to know what is the maximum, what is the minimum. I want to do a graph. I want to know what is the maximum salary, what is the highest salary. So you see the same way now, right now here. I want to know what is the highest score in English and what is the minimum score in English. So we can use this function. So I will come to a cell like this one. We're going to use what we call mean and max. You know? Oh, that was actually for assignment. So I will say mean. This one will give me the minimum. It will return the smallest number in a set of value. So when I say I click tab, it has created that function, and I come on this English. But you see, I want the entire column. I want the entire column. So I need to highlight everything going downwards. So I can, okay, sorry. I had forgotten that I had highlighted. So what you can do is, if you come to this particular cell, this is how we go about it. If you come to this first cell like that, you can use this thick addition sign to highlight everything, you know, like that. And then when you enter, it will give you the minimum value, like that. So if you want the maximum, you will use the max function. It will return the maximum. So what you do, you select the first cell, and then you are using, once it is highlighted that, the thick, you can select the bottom, the subsequent ones, that is. But there is a keyboard shortcut for that. The keyboard shortcut is Control Shift and then the downward arrow, and it highlights everything. Control Shift downward arrow. It will select every other observation below the first one that is highlighted. That is the keyboard shortcut. Very important. You'll be using this so often, so make sure you know it. Control Shift downward arrow. Look at your keyboard. There is a downward arrow. Mostly on the right, bottom right, mostly most of laptops. And you click enter. So you see the maximum is between 97 and 60. I mean the values is between 97 and 60. So I was only using that to identify the maximum and the minimum score in English. So I want to assign gender based on the logic that male do not perform, as an assumption, male do not perform good in English than females. So I would say, suppose if the score is less than 70, then it's a male. Otherwise, is a female. Now you can even have a feel of what I'm going to use. I've just said if, you know, so it means you're going to use if function in doing that. So anybody who has an idea of how to do it? Anybody? Now, I would say this, equal sign, if. Now, I click tab once it's highlighted that. Now, the beauty with the if with Excel is that it gives you a hint, you know, of the function. So right now it's telling me, like, write the logic test. Like, what is that logic that we are going to use? So the logic test is if the score in English is less than 70. So instead of writing, you see the first one is 80. So instead of writing 80 there, if 80 is less than 70, because I want to do it for the entire column, if I select this cell, then I'll be able to autofill for the rest, because it will be just changing the cell references. That is, it will be able to move from D2 to D3 to D all the way to D16. So we are saying if this score in English, you see, but what is the score in English? It is stored in D2. So if that score D2 is less than what? 70. Now you see, they are telling us after the logic test, which is boiled, we need to put a comma. I put a comma. Now he's telling me the value if true. So it's true that it is less than 70. So what is the value? We said if it's less than 70, then it's a male. Male are not good in English. Now, because this is a character, this is a word, you'll have to quote it. You'll have to quote it. So I'll say it's a male. Like that. I'll quote. So that is the logic, that is the value if true. And I put a comma. And it is telling me the value if false. So if now it's not less than 70, it's false. What is the value? I'll say the value is, sorry for that, I'm using a kind Arabic keyboard. I'll write it's a girl. Oh, let's say female. Like that. Female, like that. We said the next is to close, but it's not a must to close for Excel. It will do it for us, and you click enter. So the first one, it has checked that the score in English is 80, which is actually greater than 70 and not actually less than 70. So it is a female. It is greater than 70. So because we will use the same function, only that D2 will be changing now. Like when we move here, it's D3, D4, we will autofill. When you autofill, automatically it changes the cell references. It will go to D2 to replace D2 in the formula with the D3, D4, all the way down. So we'll just autofill that. And you can see for this case, the English score is 60, which is less than 70, so it's a male. This case, it's 69, less than 70, it's a male, and such, and such. So do we have that? Do we have gender? And do we understand that? I mean, when we are doing it in recording, we will have the gender. But now here, I'm using it to simulate the if logic test. So if you have it, type 1. If not, type a 0. Anybody? Before I left the meeting. What? Minimum and maximum. Whoa. But I have the entire gender thing here. Okay. So we have the minimum. We have identified the minimum and the maximum. I'm sure we had identified that before I left the meeting. I mean, I don't know what's happening with my internet. It's kicking me out. So we have identified that it is the maximum is 97 and the minimum is 60. So I was saying that we want to assign gender based on this score. So I was saying that like for the case of English, this is though hypothetical. We tend to believe that girls are performing better than boys. So if the score, we want to assign gender such that based on the English score, so that we assume if the score is less than 70, then it's a male. So anything above 70, it's a female. So I hope you can see that we are going to use what we call the if function. So to implement that, I was saying you say if, and then once it pops up like that, you just click the tab. Now the logic test. The logic test now, this is the criteria that you're going to use to put the values, like the logic behind assigning the gender. So like in this case, we are saying we are assigning based on the English score, such that if it is less than 70, then it's a male. Otherwise, it's a female. So that is the logic test. That is the logic that you are using to test, to identify the gender. So I said instead of putting 80 here, because we know for the first that it is 80, we will select that cell. Because if we select the cell, the advantage is that we won't need to do the same for the rest. We'll just autofill. When we autofill, the formula will adjust the cell number by changing from cell D2 to D3 to D4 all the way like that. So if this English score D2 is less than 70, you put a comma. Now you specify the value when true. If it is less than 70, we say it's a male. like that. And then we put a comma. Now it is telling us value if false. So if it's false now, which means it's greater than 70, what will be the value? We say now it's female. No, because it's a character, it's a word, we quote it and we say female, like that. We say female and we click enter. We don't have to close, Excel will do it for us. So I was saying, when you look at the first one, it is 80 and it is greater than 70, so it's a female. Now because we're going to use the same formula and we have used the cell, not the marks in referencing, we can autofill. When we autofill, the formula will adjust this D2 to D3 all the way down. So I'll just move my cursor there. Once I have that black thin addition sign to autofill, I double tap and it will autofill for the rest. So you can see here the English score is 60, which is less than 70, and it's saying male. The English score here is 71, which is greater than 70, so it's a female. English score is 69, which is less than, so it's a male. I hope you're getting that. I hope you're getting that. So, yes, please. Someone is having a question. I'm too fast. Oh, sorry. No, I guess the reason why I'm too fast is because it's like I'm feeling like I had already talked about this. But here is the formula there at the bar. Just check here. That is where the formula is. I'm also afraid of time, that is why. But sorry for that. So there is the formula. You can write it on the first. And we will do a lot of if functions, and they are very important, by the way. They are very, very important. So if you have it, you can type 1. If not, you can type a 0. If you have a challenge, you can type a 2. I can see justice. I said it's justice. I can see Emma. Now don't just type 1 and zeros and you are not doing it. You see, you want to be helping yourself. Now that is one of our aspects that we were supposed to look at. I'm trying just to introduce some functions anyway. So the next that we are supposed to do now is to get the total, like the total marks for maths, English, Swahili, and social studies. I mean, now this is very basic. So how do we get the total marks? Now this one, you know, there are several ways of doing it. So let's hear from you. How can we get the total marks? One of you to try. Yes, Justus.
Okay, so we are going to use sum, and we are going to put equal sign, alafu we type it in sum, alafu we type tab, alafu we highlight the cells that we want to get the total of, and then we press enter.
Perfect. Thank you, Justus. So we say sum and then we highlight them, so we can say sum. Now you see I've used the keyboard shortcut. Once I get to that first, if I want to go column wise, meaning I'm going rightwards, so I will click Control Shift and the rightward arrow, like that. So you navigate to where you want to go, but at times you find that the beauty is that you can even adjust one at a time. So depending on how fast you are taking it, you can adjust. So that is it. Otherwise, if you are not used to using that downward, that arrow is still not an issue. You just come here, you just come here, you say equal to sum. There is no harm. And then when you say sum, you select that. Once you have this thick sign, addition sign, it means you can highlight, and then you highlight the rest like that, and you click enter. Now the beauty of highlighting is that later on you can just autofill like that. You can just autofill. So we can use the sum function. But hey, what about when I decide to use like a function like you see the functions and their expressions. Expressions are the one that you are writing yourself. So I can say like maths, you can say you are adding them manually, suppose. So I'll say it's this one, then plus this one, then plus. But why do you do that? Suppose at times you don't remember the function, but I don't think so. And then you click enter, it will still give you the total. Now the beauty is still you can autofill, it will change the cell references as well. So that was actually correct. So that is very cool, Mr. Justus. I hope that one is quite direct. Sum and then we sum from this to this. Now even at times the cells, you don't even have to highlight. Just look at them. Suppose, mostly when we are dealing with even rows, you see at times when we are doing analysis, we are so concerned about the number of variables we are dealing with, the number of observation we are dealing with. So I know in this data set, I have 100 observation. So in my Excel, it is starting from, let's say, from this column. So I want to sum. Let's say I want to sum for mathematics. It is starting from C2 to C101. So I can just write C2 full colon C101, and it's okay. It's okay. So how about the average of each student? How do we get the average? Now these are things we know. Who is trying this? Yes, Justus. Yes, Justus.
I'm sorry, I was speaking in a second microphone. Okay, so the same way we have the total, we will have our equal sign, alafu we type in average, alafu we type tab, alafu we highlight the cells that we want to find the average of.
So we want to get the average of.
We will autofill.
Okay, yeah. For the marks. So suppose we want to get the average marks of each student. You see it's starting from mathematics, which is C2. So you can just say C2, suppose, to social studies, that is G2. There's no harm, you can do that. And you can see it's highlighting automatic. And I'll click enter. And now when I click enter, I have the average and I autofill. And I autofill for the rest. And I autofill for the rest. So, at that point, I hope we are together. So let me see the ones and zeros. If we are together, if you have the total and average, type 1. If not, type a 0. And the formula is at the formula bar. Oh, that is Millicent. I'm seeing a 2 and a 1. Now Mary and Suleha, you are so quiet. And I'm afraid if you really understand this or not. That's cool, that's cool, that's cool too. That's cool to all of you. Now let's do this. Let's go to comment. Let's go to comment. Now we want to do some comment. Now this is to us. These are actually your assignments. You see, I cannot be teaching everything. For every function I teach, the next will be assignment. So I'm just going to give you a hint. So we want to comment. You can either decide to, you see, in high school, there were like some marks will be considered that you have passed or you have failed. So, comment, I want us to have a comment that you have, good or poor, or let's say pass, fail. Yeah, pass, fail is good. So only 2 comments, pass or fail, or we can say proceed, repeat, like you repeat the same class. So some of you, I want you to follow 2 different approaches. Some of you, and we'll be demonstrating this in class in the next lesson. I almost say tomorrow. I don't even know when is the next lesson, but I know tomorrow is R. So, girls in this class, I'll be now gender specific. We will. Did I say we? No, I didn't. So, girls will be commenting based on the average. I don't know if you're getting that. So, looks all our students are sharp. So we will say that if the average is if the average is less than 50, then the student will repeat the class. Otherwise, the student will proceed. That is to the next class. Now for the males, for the boys in this class, this quantitative analysis class, now comment is your assignment. I said this one is your assignment. So for boys, we'll use total. So if this total is greater than 250, then the student will proceed. If not, the student will repeat. I don't know if you're getting that. I don't know if you're getting that. So that is it. So you will do comment. You will do comment. Let me highlight this so that tomorrow I remember that that was your assignment. Now we want to do grade. Now here we are using if function. I guess that is simple. Now grade. Now grade is also simple. We can use if function, but now we call it like nested ifs, like it's if inside ifs. Because look at this, look at it this way. We want to grade the student's performance, maybe based on the average. So if the student's average, you see after the end of the semester, you go pick your transcript, you have your average, and that determines your grade, the overall grade, So if your average is, let's say, below 40, so you have a SOAP in total. I mean, that is an E, let's say, and then from around 40, that is from, let's say, below 40. SOAP is normally below 40, yeah. And then anything above 40 to anything from 40 to, let's say, 50, there is, let's say, a D. And maybe anything below, between 51 and 59, yeah, that is actually the range. There is a C. And then anything between, let's say, 60 to 69, that is a C. And then anything between 61 to 79, anything between 61 to 69, that is a B. And anything between 70 to 100, that is an A. So that is the grading system that you want to come up with. Now, before even I show you the grade, I guess that is the last thing we're going to do today. Here, you find that there is another way of writing it. So you find that at times we'll have different approaches of writing the logic, but it is giving us the same. So suppose, look here, we are saying if D2, the logic test, D2 is less than 70, then it's a male, otherwise it's female. You see, we could have changed this logic here, and we say if D2 is greater than 70, then we'll have to interchange this. If D2 is greater than 70, so value if true, it's female, and then comma, male. I don't know if you're getting that. So there's a way you can rewrite it. Always, there's a way you can rewrite it. Now let's do this grading. Let's do this grading. So this is how you do it. We will say equal to if no logic test. So our first logic test is if this average is less than 40. You see, when I say less than 40, is something between 0 to 39, and that is a pure SOAP with no negotiation. That is an E. You know? So that is an A, that is the value if it's true, and then I put a comma. Now I'm supposed to write value if false. But now, you see, the value if false, there are other range in between 40 to 100. So instead of writing just one value, I will still write an if. So if that is not true, if it's false, then I have another if. So if it's not between less than 40, I mean if it's not less than 40, but it is actually less than 50, you know, that is now from 40 to 49. Now have the grade as D. Have the grade as D. You see, it's less than 50. And the previously is taking care of the condition it's less than 49. So it means this is now between 40 and 49. So 50 is not included here. And then I put a comma. So value if false. Now I'm selecting again the average. I mean value if false. Because we still have several other range, we will now use if again, like that. And we say now if this average here, okay, just a minute, because looks like I have highlighted this cell, but there is no harm. I can even write I2. That is the cell in question. If I2 is less than, now you see, we want to take care of between 50 and 59. So that is less than 60. But there are several other ways you can write it, I'm telling you. So the value between 50 and 59 is a C. Like that. And then I put a comma. And then if false. Now you still see we still have some other range. So I'll still say if the value, this value here, this particular cell, okay, there's an issue with that, but I can still write it. I2 is less than 50. Oh no, we are now need to take the range between 60 to 69. There is now a B, so it's less than 70. You know, it's less than 70. I will say the value is a B, like that. And then I close that. So the next that I want is for 70. So you can assume, you can just say now, the rest is an A. It means it is greater than 70. And you just write an A, like that. But you see, at times we have some exceptional. Maybe there is a blank, so it's a missing value. So instead of ending it there, I prefer saying still if, you know. Now if it is greater than 70. If it is greater than 70. So I would say if now this I2 is greater than or equal to 70. You know, is greater than or equal to 70. I put a comma and I'll say the value is A, and I close that. Now you see saying value if false. Now if it is not in this any range, then it's missing. It's a missing value. You need to go and find the lecturer. So we need to close all that, but we're not going to close. When we click enter, Excel will do the closing for us. So you just click enter. And it is telling you need to check the parentheses. Just click OK. It will close all of them. Suppose it is correct. Now the problem why in my end it didn't is because I didn't quote the missing. You see, it's a word. I need to say missing. Like that. Missing. Don't forget about any issue with spellings and such. And we click enter. So it is telling me now there are several. The typo of the formula is not correct. You see, this is the correction. It's just closing. I say yes. Just correct that. Accept the correction. Accept the correction. And I click OK. And it is telling me the first student is having an A for that. I know there are several other ways of writing it. There is just one of the ways. So you now autofill. Oh, our students are all doing that. Like that. We now autofill. So the formula is still here at the top. The formula is still here at the top. So I hope that was not that fast though. So if you have it, you can type a 1. If not, you can type a 0. If you're still working on it, you can type a 2. Well, looks like you guys, you know these things, eh? I am just seeing ones all over. Or I will adjust the cause. Looks like I need to jump some basics. Seems so. But yeah, we will just catch up with some other stuffs. So that is it. We are still going to do lots of formulas tomorrow, but not tomorrow, next class they'll be a bit advanced. So we'll have like 3 other sessions looking some different formulas, but these will be more advanced, like using the lookup function, the VLOOKUP, the XLOOKUP, and the HLOOKUP. Maybe using the unique function, the filter functions, which is not very important in cleaning and such. Yeah. So that is it for the average. Now that is it for the average. So now what we are supposed to do next is here. We want to get the average for males. Like, what was the average for males in their marks? And what is the average for females in their marks? So always trying. What is the average for males? Here we were getting average for all of the students. For each individual one of them. We want to get the average for all the males that are there, for their total marks. So how do we do that? Now to do that, we are using a function called, you see, we are doing average, but it is based on a condition. And because every time we involve condition, we'll use if. So we're going to use a function called AVERAGEIF. So you are finding the average based on a certain logic. So we say equal to, and we say AVERAGEIF. Now we have 2. One is called AVERAGEIF, and the other one is called AVERAGEIFs. Those are the 2 that I'm going to talk about. Now AVERAGEIF is when you are computing the average based on a single logic test, based on a single criteria. I don't know if you're getting that. Now AVERAGEIFs, we are doing average based on a set of criterias, based on a set of conditions. I mean, more than one condition. Like, for example, we want to compute the average for males for their total marks for as long as each one of them scored greater than 70 in maths. I don't know if you're getting that. So those are 2 conditions. 1, they need to be males. 2, they need to have a score of greater than 70 in maths. But in this case, we have only 1. We want to get their average in their marks, but only that they need to be males. So we will click the tab. Now we have what we call the range. You see the hint is telling us the range. Now this is what we call the criteria range. Like, in what column or in what row will we be looking for that criteria, for that logic? So our criteria is the gender, male. So the range will be this entire column for gender. That will be the range. Now you see, range has to start from somewhere and end from somewhere. So it will be B2 all the way to B16. So Control Shift down arrow. That is the range. And then I put a comma. Now criteria. In this column that we have highlighted, what are we looking? That is the criteria. So we are looking for male. We are looking for male. No, because it's a word, I'm quoting it. And then I put a comma. And then average range. Now this is the range of values that will be computing its average for as long as it's for male. So it's the total now. Those values that you want to compute their average. So it's the total. So Control Shift downwards arrow. That is what we are computing the average for as long as they are males. And we click enter. So that is the average marks for males. That is the average for males. They have an average of 381.25 marks. So males are performing. I don't know about girls. So you'll do that for females. You'll do that for females. That is your assignment. That is your assignment. I mean, you should remember to do that. For as long as you remember to do for males, you can do that. Now, number of males. We need to know how many males are here. You know how many males are here. So we are counting the gender, but based on a criteria. What is the criteria if it is a male? So we are going to use count so that we can count. But because we are using it with a condition, we are going to use what we call COUNTIF. So we still have COUNTIF and COUNTIFs. Or we are also going to use COUNTBLANKS. I normally use that in my analysis. Suppose I want to get the number of missing values, like they are blanks. So use COUNTBLANKS. And just in a second, I'm getting the number of blanks in my data. So I know there is this number of missing values. I normally use it. So COUNTIFs is going to count based on a criteria. So we are going to count the range is the column gender. So we are going to select that and we put a comma. Now the criteria is we are counting for males. Or male. We are saying male. That is the criteria as it is there. Now actually, at times you don't even have to type. Hey, you don't even have to type male. You see, we have a column here that is named male. So just put a comma and click 1. Because what is stored there is a male. I don't know if you're getting that. Most so for this criteria, just select one of them. For as long as it's not a range, it will always refer that particular cell. So you click enter and it is telling me there are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that is the most crazy thing that you can do. Like not trusting the formula and counting them manually. So you will do for females. You will do for females. Our time is up actually. We are 10 minutes past time. So we also have this addition sign that is pointing east and west. That is for resizing the columns. So if it is exceeding, you can resize. Now this one here is for resizing the rows, but I mostly prefer doing it here. You can resize the rows. Now I want you to try that, but there are also others that we're going to use as we proceed, like the SUMIFs. They are very important. You see, at times we have data, categorical data mostly, some numerical variables, and we want to select it based on the categories, or sum it based on the categories. The SUMIFs and SUMIF will become very useful, I'm telling you. So make sure you master that. Make sure you master that. So with that said, I want you to go and do this one. Average males with math greater than 70. So you're getting average total it's average total marks for males, and when they have greater than 70 marks. I hope you are getting that. So you will add this for your assignment. The average total for male with maths greater than 70 marks. Also, make sure you remember to save your document. So to save, you can click Ctrl S, or you can go to Files and then Save. But the keyboard shortcut is Ctrl S, and then you select where you want it to be stored. So I can say in my computer, maybe in my desktop, like that, you know, and I can call it Excel 1. Because it doesn't allow a space, I can say Excel _1, like that. So any question up to that point, or any point that is not clear? So on a scale of 0 to 10, how did you understand this class today? 0, it means you didn't understand some of the concepts, and 10 means you have understand everything. So on a scale of 0 to 10, that is very, very important, because it helps me to improve, maybe to be slow next time, you know, and such. So on a scale of 0 to 10, how did you understand this? I am seeing Karim, Mary, Emma, Millicent. So on a scale of 0 to 10, the rest, this is very important. Still waiting to hear from Mary. Yeah, I can see Justus. So this, I'm seeing some 9s, you know, some 10s, some 8. So it still shows me that I still have work to do, still have to adjust. But this is the beginning. We have actually not started. So make sure that you be attentive. If anything, you just feel like I'm very fast, kindly raise up your hand, you know. And I'm working on, I've discovered that there's an issue with this laptop. It's like kicking me out of the internet now and then. So I guess my best option is the other one. I will work on that as well. But make sure, please, please, please. It will get a point where helping you will be hard, because we are very much far. And it's like I need to go back and tell you something that was very fundamental, only that you didn't understand. So whatever you are seeing right now here that is very simple, I'm telling you, will be very applicable. And if you're not careful, you will not even realize that it is what we were doing here. So try as much as possible, you understand this. In the next 2 sessions, we're going to do some more functions, and also expressions, and then we will start tackling most common used function in the, I guess we have 3 classes, this being the first, we're remaining with 2. So the first we're going to look at still some basic functions and their expressions. Then we go to most common now in world analytics, like these ones, the XLOOKUP, the VLOOKUP, the trim, the date, and such. So let's meet next lesson. Have a good night.